How is this gonna end?
Thank you.
How is this gonna end? How is this gonna end? I don't know how this is gonna end. I don't know how this is gonna end. I woke up and I just remember being like, what happened? And they said, you had a baby. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job, buddy. Okay, so 5 minus 5 is?
0.
5 minus 2 is?
1.
Nope, 5 minus 2.
Oh, that's 3. 30.
Okay, so that's how much money she has left. 30 cents. Do you know the cent symbol?
Yeah.
Good
I
job.
wrote it down on what I'm going to say.
Cool.
One of the things that I really love and admire about Rebecca is if she's scared and if something makes her afraid, it's only for a short time. Because she's like, okay, I have to change my mindset. I have to get out of this fear. The moment fear takes over, then we start having all these crazy thoughts and what if this and what if that. And she's always quick to try to get out of that. And that's one thing I really admire about her that's also been challenging in my own life.
Ding, 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 ding. Oh. Good hit, good hit. Okay, round 1.
And there have been times in my life where I've been scared of something and she'll say, okay, it's just fear, don't worry, you're not dying, it's just fear, it's gonna pass.
The E.
This is not UFC.
This isn't the pro wrestling entertaining.
Are you okay?
Stand in the ring.
Me on mother.
She is the one
Ding, 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 ding.
that continually pushes us forward. She has led the way in us starting our own farm, and she has led the way in us going on the Great American Farm Tour. If she dared to ask herself, and I think she does this perhaps subconsciously, she'll ask herself, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? And then she does that.
When I was a little girl, I literally thought I was going to marry a banker. We were going to live on the Intercoastal, which is really that's the premier place to live, on the Intercoastal. We were going to have a boat, I was going to have 2 kids. It was going to be a very polished life, I guess. I can still see the vision in my head today of what my house would look like and everything and what I would look like. I grew up in Florida, and Justin always says, like, I never touched dirt. Like, we just, like, went from grass to concrete to, swimming in the pool. Like, there was never, like, getting dirty. So I would never have thought that I would have ended up here on a farm in North Carolina, married to Justin. I mean, not that, like, he's just not a banker, like that.
Becky always was a self-starter in a lot of things. And I think she enjoys research, finding out about things. And I never thought she'd be on a farm.
Back in Florida, she loved to swim, always in the pool. And she always liked to cook with me, so she said, I'm going to make a cake. And so she made a spice nut cake with cream cheese frosting and entered it at the South Florida Fair. And it got first place for cakes, and then it got best of show. So she was really proud. It's funny that we went to this man's house named Emery, and Emery had 2 tractors, and Rebecca said, take my picture. And you could see how young she is. We would have never thought that that they'd have a tractor. Oh, it's too bad you don't know what's going to happen so that you could put 2 and 2 together, from when you're younger.
My dad was in construction, and we moved to North Carolina when I was 16 years old. And Justin and I met shortly after I moved here. So we were friends, and then we started dating, and then we knew pretty soon after that we wanted to get married. It's silly because we were like 16 years old, but we like fell in love. We had horses growing up. It was always something that I guess I looked fondly upon. And so he rented this horse, and he was like acting really strange. And then he wanted to do a fire in the fireplace, and I kept being like, it's May, it's so hot outside. Like, and he just kept on being like, no, we really should have a fire. It'd be so nice, He ended up asking me after dinner to marry him in the living room. Went to college and then got married 6 weeks after we graduated from college. I want to say October of 2005 is when we were like, let's have a baby. And I just didn't get pregnant and didn't get pregnant and didn't get pregnant. And so we were kind of like, why aren't we getting pregnant? Like, what's wrong? At some point, I think we would have seen a doctor, but we ended up getting pregnant in March of 2007.
And how to make the lemon go to the bottom is like this. See the lemons here?
Underneath that thing. Underneath the wood.
The lemon's gone and the lemon's there. I need to do something. You can't do anything about it.
Everything? Okay.
It's so good.
I tear it out. Tearing is when it makes it go back to 0. So like even though the bowl's sitting on here and it weighs something, when you tear it, it makes it go to 0.
Yeah, right. I'm not a big chocolate fan, so it's gotta be good chocolate.
You're not a chocolate fan, huh?
Yes, Papa gave us a
Do you
chocolate
like chocolate
bar.
now?
Wait, like the whole thing. Well, I don't like too when they went to seeds and chocolate. When they went to seeds and 4 eggs are right there.
No, because we need 4 eggs for the brownies too.
Can I mix?
Actually,
Is this
maple
ice cream?
syrup. Will you get me the maple syrup out, please?
But wouldn't it be?
What? I don't care. I'll love you no matter what.
I want to
Sea salt. How much sea salt? A
Is
teaspoon.
it the only mixer?
And then we'll do one more egg.
Stop it.
Oh my God. Okay. No, it's fine. It's my mistake. Because there's cream. Whisk it quick before it cooks, honey. You know, it's interesting because it's like I hit 40 and I was like, we have to have another child. Even though I was like scared to death of it, it was like my biological clock.
She struggled more with this fifth one in fear, but in also physical, you know. I think she felt it more in her bones, so to speak. More can go wrong. I mean, if you're not frolicking through this pregnancy, well, then it can create a doubt, I imagine, that might be a reflection of what's going to happen in the labor. I think I was even a little more afraid of this one, and almost like we were pushing our luck.
She has struggled with Hashimoto's, and I feel like her health had just gotten to, you know, kind of like an even place where she was feeling better, she was having more energy, and then she got pregnant. And it was difficult in the beginning. The first trimester was really difficult. She was tired a lot, and she was scared because she's 41 years old and having Hashimoto's, and now having her fifth child and not knowing how things are going to go. Is he going to be okay? Am I going to be okay?
I had a really close friend that lost her baby, you know, and it's really traumatic. It wasn't even my child, you know, like, and it was 9 years ago, and it still just like gets me to the core when I think about what she went through, you know? And so there was like so much fear. And, you know, after the Great American Farm Tour, I had so much anxiety. And I was in therapy, and I talked to my therapist about having, you know, another child. And she said, well, what if everything goes right? Like, because I was like, what if this? What if that? You know, all these negative scenarios. And she looks at me and she's like, but what if everything goes right and everything's totally fine? And I was like, is that even possible? I've always had some anxiety, I would say. Justin would call me a worrier, you know.
Did you hurt it? Like, when you do something where you were like, ow?
When I was a kid, I worried.
Do you remember an injury?
You know, as a teenager, I worried. You know, as an adult, I've worried. Now that I have kids, I worry about my children. You know, like, I've leaned more towards worry than not.
What do they post on stories?
The recipe, like cooking and stuff. I don't know. I feel like Justin and I have gotten to a point in our lives where we're just like, we're still afraid, but we just do it. It doesn't stop us like it used to.
Rebecca's labor actually started like 10 days before Henry was born. So it was unique in that. That's called prodromal labor, when you just have this labor that goes on and on and on. And it can be very mentally exhausting and physically exhausting. So, but the day of, it was so exciting because she texted and she said, I really do think this is it. Because nothing I'm doing is making the contractions stop. So we went out on a walk, and honestly, like, the way her labor was going, I really would have thought he would have been born pretty quickly. She asked her midwife to check her, and she was checked, and we found out she was 8 centimeters, which is very exciting. Like, when you're in labor and you find out you're 8 centimeters, usually that's gonna mean like, we're gonna have the baby in the next hour or two. This baby has been over 5 hours. Why hasn't the baby come? So she decides that she needs to check Rebecca Again, check her cervix, check the position of the baby. So she goes to check her, and the baby is really high. And at one point, she tried to push a few times, and I think that's when she got discouraged. Because she knew, like, when she pushed that nothing was happening. You know, at this point too, she is physically totally exhausted. I feel like that's when she got scared. I know she was scared before she was in labor, and I know she was scared at this point. But when she was in laboring that whole day, honestly, she was not acting scared. She was totally peaceful and rocking it, you know? But at this point, when she tried to push and she could tell nothing was happening, is when she really started saying things like, "This is just like Jonah's birth."
Going into our first birth with Jonah, we had planned to have it at the hospital. We had planned to have it naturally. The day finally comes. We're on our way to the hospital very early in the morning.
We got to the hospital and I was like 2 centimeters, and they're like, okay, we'll keep you for an hour. And if you don't, dilate, then we're going to send you home. So I was like, okay. With your first child, like, you just don't know what you're getting into,
The doula had brought in music, and it was this nice, peaceful music. And at one point, our wedding song came on, and it was actually a romantic moment. How we're about to meet our first son.
At one point, I said, I want to get up and go to the bathroom. And they said, no, you just go to the bathroom in the bed. We'll clean you up. And I was like, no, you don't know me. Like, I don't do that. I don't go to the bathroom in front of people like that. At that point, I just felt like my body just kind of like closed up. It was just like, he was really high up, and they broke my water and to hopefully bring him down.
They're checking his heart rate. Well, at one point, his heart rate is getting low. It's getting on in the day. His heart rate's going down. We got to do something fast.
They tried the vacuum and it didn't budge him. Like, he was still really high up. So the doctor just looked at me and said, "You're having a C-section." And my nurse was frantically trying to unhook everything to get my bed going, to get me out of the room.
And it all felt emergency. It all felt like, oh my goodness, something's going to happen to Jonah. Something's going to happen to my wife. And they roll her out in panic mode.
I was pushed into an OR, and they said, get on the table. And I crawled onto the table, and they strapped me down, and then there's people talking in my face, like, we're gonna do this and this and this, and I was like, okay.
Is baby gonna be okay? It's the last time I knew he wasn't. His heart rate's getting low. Is mama gonna be okay? Because when she gets to that point, I don't know if she's okay. I mean, she's like totally out of it.